How well a role do you think intelligence is playing?
When it comes to how well a role intelligence is playing, I would like to address your question from what we've seen in the past. Our intelligence communities are not really too in-depth on what is happening. The elements of surprise as retained by the militants were quite, startling. It was virtually a hide and seek thing. You go in here, they come out there. You go there, they come out there. So we need to use this particular operation as opportunity to hone in our intelligence apparatuses and tentacles. Okay? We are looking at a situation where we are talking of a terrorist cell or a terrorist group, people who do a lot of awesome things. By now, we should be looking at how we can even get deep infiltration operations into their ranks. We should be looking at people going in there to even serve as terrorists. It's not impossible. And give information so that the authorities will be one step ahead. I recall there was a time, a very prominent politician in this country says Boko Haram has infiltrated government. And for me, it was a challenge. Somewhere in my mind, I said, well, we can also infiltrate them. But that's not seemingly the case today. And what we are beginning to see is a situation where opportunity is beginning to abound. Abound in the sense that with this operation in 3 states, military intelligence agencies, law enforcement intelligence agencies can really dig in. And with the kind of modality, the modus operandi I'm saying, they will be able to get those sources and informants they require to put something solid on the ground. Other than that, I talked about projectizing this whole thing. In project management, we have what we call organization process assets. Lessons learned, document templates. We can begin to use these particular 3 states as the foundation to build on that.
And the idea is you have to plow it back into operations.
Beautiful.
To succeed.
Exactly. What you get, you disseminate after evaluating. When you evaluate, you take what you want. What you don't need is not necessarily obsolete. You just store it. Tomorrow morning, something that was obsolete or irrelevant could just become hotcake.
And as a matter of fact, in this case, since it's ongoing, while the intelligence is gathered, you relay it to the field.
Exactly.
So advance.
Exactly. So we are seeing a nexus of efforts. That's what I'm anticipating. It's not only about military operations. It's about people out there who have the required professional resource. We could be talking to project managers.
Part of what perhaps they should also consider, because time and again we hear certain politicians say, look, the borders, do you know what it takes to man the borders? We can't properly police the borders. We may not be able to erect barricades. These are things we should reconsider now, shouldn't we?
Yes, indeed. If you look at the 3 states involved, supposing you were to look at it through the eyes of a soldier, you will definitely know that these people deliberately took those states because they are on the fringes of our border. For me, looking at it as an ex-soldier, I just saw an effort to secure a base where they can extricate easily and insert easily.
As a tactics?
Yes, indeed. It's a base where they can extricate easily and insert easily. Now, if you look at the contiguous countries, they are French countries. I know something about the French. The French don't take long to respond if their territories are under threat. You're going to see the French Legion there double time. So, if they put a base there, what will they be doing? They will actually be stirring the bees at the hornet's nest. So, the very conducive Nigeria is a bit laid back. We like to take time before we respond. Big brothers, we are so mature about a lot of things. So we can as well test their patience. They've done that for 2 years. Check those states out. They line the fringes of our borders.
And you wouldn't see it because, we hear that in some of these French countries, that they actually tell people to go to almost all the religious sites If they get any message that they suspect something is wrong, they go with you to wherever you're going to. And they check all these things.
I have followed the French internationally. I tell you, the French probably as a result is the fallout of their principle of assimilation during the colonial era. They had principle of assimilation. They don't play with their colonies. Permit me to use the word. If anything goes wrong there, I tell you, give them a very short while. Take Mali, for example. Double time, they're already there. So those are things that I just looked at and decided, look, choosing Yobe, Adamawa, and Borno is not just an off-the-mill thing. It was deliberately and concisely decided.
And that is exactly what they're doing, because if you look at the report now, after the bombardment, a whole lot of them are actually going out and possibly to retreat through those borders.
Exactly.
But, you know, this is a heavy task on the military, especially now that we have some in Mali. You just talked about Mali. And over the weekend, we understand that we still have some couple of your colleagues back in Liberia, and the government is also thinking of bringing those people back home. Perhaps maybe they can also assist. But if you look at all of this analysis you've given to us, how can the average Nigerian help by word of encouragement? You know, there are some words you hear when in the battlefield that can discourage you, and there are some kind of words you hear while in the battlefield that can urge you to go on and say, this is honor for my country.
Okay, I'll give you examples here. We own the military, we civilians, and we must take ownership of our military. And if you want a child to do better in school, you have to make the child believe you are proud of him. You have to psych the child up. I'll share a story with you from one of my colleagues who was in the United States recently. He happened to be, was it Atlanta now? He was about to board a flight when some young soldiers were also scheduled to fly with them. And these soldiers were very young men and women. And when they boarded, in fact, before they boarded, it was made clear that the soldiers will board first, even before first class. They boarded, and pre-flight, the pilot came out and said, we are indeed happy to have in our midst soldiers of the United States Army, blah, 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 blah. And off they went. And when they arrived, the pilot came out again and thanked the soldiers for using the airlines, that particular airline brand. And while he was doing that, the entire aircraft stood up and gave these boys and girls a standing ovation. That is what melts the ice that exists between our military-civil relationship. We are estranged. Soldiers and civilians in Nigeria are still estranged. The moment civilians hear soldiers, they believe, look.
Well, that's a product of the many years.
Exactly.
So
over 20 years.
The soldiers themselves, as though they need to go through a reorientation to
That's what
understand
we are
that
saying. That's what we are saying. That if we consider the soldier and the policeman a brand, okay, that brand is not selling.
So now that we're changing towards that,
yes,
what can we do as a people?
Those three states become an opportunity. You see, the scenario has to be properly managed. Integration management. There have to be jingles. There have to be awareness. There have to be. I look to see a day when traditional rulers will be coming out to say, hey, these boys are our sons. They are here to die that we may live. Give them the required cooperation. I look to see even musicians come out and actually sing, and during their shows just pass the word in to those youths who are hailing and dancing and watching and say, look, we are enjoying here. We are singing and dancing. Don't forget our brothers, our cousins are out there ensuring we can sing and dance safely. Yes, indeed. These are the things you begin to see, and the next time you see a soldier, you know, it becomes personal. It becomes emotional. You can go the length for the policeman and the soldier because you know these men stand fast that you may rest. But for now, we are estranged. And Yobe, Borno, and Adamawa is the opportunity to do that. Baga was gruesome. We can rewrite history through these three states. We can give a good account of ourselves on both sides through these three states. And going forward, it can only improve.
I still would also want you to talk more on this and perhaps bring in the media. What can the media do in helping out?
Oh, a lot.
Reporting stories that come out of